Do you ever get the feeling that there's just so many people? And we all have so many different opinions about how we should do things and how things get done. And that's why. That's why. That's why sometimes we're so hateful to each other, is because there's just so much diversity, so much diversity of opinion and idea and belief, and we're just all existing in this invisible space. And oh, I spilled my water. I spilled my water, kitten. Yeah. Are you still hungry? Oh. Will you be happy if I feed you again? Okay. But I thought that was very interesting. I did notice that recently I've been stimming. I have tardive dyskinesia, so people ask me why I blink so much, and that's neurological. I don't have control over that. I blink a lot because I'm usually when I concentrate, or when I'm overwhelmed, or when I'm thinking a lot, my tardive dyskinesia will go off. And so that's just the thing. But I noticed I've been doing this a lot lately, and this is kind of like a stimming. This is very. It's because I'm fat. I do that a lot too, but it's a self-soothing. It's stimming, and I also get hair right here, and it kind of bugs me. So sometimes I'll pick at my face because So that's kind of, it's a stimming feature, but I don't necessarily stim. But the eye blinking thing is definitely tardive dyskinesia. I used to not do it. This is a very recent development. I did always do this because I used to, when I was skinnier, touch my collarbone all the time, and that is kind of a stimming feature that I used to do, self-soothing feature. So I used to do that a lot. So I always touch my throat or my shoulder. That's just something I do, because I don't know, because I touch it now because I'm fat. I'm touching my fat. But I've always kind of touched my shoulder and stuff. I don't know. But you don't necessarily have to be autistic to stim, is the thing. I have taken tests that have said specifically that I'm not autistic. And because I have done testing to see whether or not I'm autistic. I'm not autistic. I do have neurodivergent behavior in that I have bipolar, and that I do certain things that are of bipolar behavior, because I do have, so there is some overlap with autistic behavior and bipolar behavior, in that I get hyper focused, and that I tend to do certain, there is some overlap with that. that some people argue that you can be, well, there's certain, no, it's not about autistic, there's some overlap with ADHD behavior and bipolar behavior. So I do have ADHD tendencies because I'm bipolar. So there is some of that. But I don't have autism and I don't have ADHD. I just have bipolar disorder. But I don't have autism. I definitely have tested myself. I don't have autism. So. I've taken several tests. I've talked to my psychologist. I've talked to psychologists about this. I've talked to psychiatrists about this. I've talked to so many, and nobody agrees because of my level of sociability, my level of just I don't show any of the signs of being bipolar, autistic. I just show signs of bipolar disorder I almost have what would be considered schizoaffective. And basically, my disorder runs on the schizoaffective spectrum. It's just I have bipolar disorder, delusional disorder, because I don't have psychotic tendencies, which would make me more schizoaffective. So that's why I have delusional disorder instead of schizoaffective disorder. So now you know. But I'm even getting my delusions under control, honestly. Like, I'm working really hard to undo all of my delusional behaviors that I used to hold so firmly. So I've been doing a lot of really good work recently on all of my delusional behavior and not doing obsessive behaviors that I used to do. I'm doing really good with that. And I'm doing really good at not creating new delusions or delusional behaviors. I've been really good about unlearning some of that. So, I'm repeating myself. But I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about what I can't talk. I don't like to talk about specifics because if I get into specifics, I just don't. Because it's very personal. It's something that, I don't, because it's the internet. The internet is full of people. People, I'm very vulnerable about those things. I don't want people to use those things against me and to know specifically what is going on in my head or what I'm thinking about or, what I'm working through specifically. I don't like to talk about those things because it's nobody's business, about what delusional thoughts I'm having or what I'm experiencing or any of those things. It's nobody's business. So, but I can just say I'm working through those things and I'm doing really good. Me 3 years ago wouldn't even recognize me now with how much I've worked on my behaviors and thoughts. Specifically the thoughts, perceptions. Because there's a lot of stuff. Me a year ago would be like, wow, you don't think those things anymore? And I'd be like, no, no, I don't. And be like, wow. Be like, that's a big one. Be like, yeah, that's a big one. Be like, how'd you get over that? And be like, well. I'm trying not to watch too many John Green or Hank stuff, because I don't want to develop new delusions. So I kind of popped in onto his live earlier today, but I saw that he posted a short, and I was like trying not to watch it because I was just like, I don't need to hero worship. I was like, I have been doing journals. I started a journal to David Lynch, which I kind of liked the blue feather because reasons. I hadn't really written in, because I'm not planning on giving these to any people. Like, I'm not giving them to them. So I've been writing in my John journal and my Hank journal. I need to print off the stuff that I had typed up, because it was easier to type than write because my hand gets tired. So I have so many journals. I just finished a journal to my sister. I have to send that to her because I was going to send that to her. I do send the journals to my family. I was going to do some writing in the Hank journal about topsoil, because I was doing research today about farming, because Bob Roth this morning talked about topsoil, and I was a little dubious because he was reading, I never questioned it before, but Bob Roth always reads from these like articles, like news articles. And news articles tend to pull from scientific journals, but they don't often get the whole story. They kind of just, they're a little buzzy. So he was talking about topsoil this morning, and he said something that was kind of sounded incredible. He said something like that topsoil takes 200 years to develop, and I thought that was a little... I know that the depth of topsoil has been deteriorating. I know that for sure. I know it's hard to develop topsoil, but I don't think that it takes hundreds of years to develop topsoil, like good topsoil. But I was reading a paper about it, and to even define what topsoil is, there's no like scientific definition of like what actually topsoil is, because it's actually kind of like a range between certain inches of ground. Like they define it as like a horizon of between like 7 and 25 centimeters on the ground, or like 8 to 15 inches like underground. So like it's a range, which is not scientific at all. Like it doesn't define like how deep it goes, and like different places have different measurement of how far it goes and like how deep you can go with it. So some of them are going as deep as like 25 inches. underground, like as far as like topsoil. So it was very interesting to read this article that said, and when you sell topsoil, it's not federally regulated, so there's no because there's no definition of what topsoil is. You can just sell anything and call it topsoil. As long as it's dirt, you can call it topsoil. So, so that's interesting. Like, so here's Bob Ross talking about this topsoil, and like he's talking about all of these things about topsoil, and it's not very scientific because there's no actual scientific definition for what topsoil is. So he's trying to sound really smart, but it's not scientific. It's actually kind of like something that farmers use as a practical matter. That is something that they talk about as sort of like an in thing about their farm. But it's not something that is generally used among scientists. Like, they don't generally define topsoil as a scientific term. So that's interesting because you think of like, you know, you go to college and you go to like agriculture studies, and they're not defining what topsoil is, but they're trying to learn the best ways of farming, and there's no definition of how to best till the soil or use the soil. There's no scientific definition of that, even though they're trying to best utilize the soil in the best way possible, even though there's no scientific definition for utilizing that soil. And I thought that was interesting because you think like when they go about it in a scientific way of like trying to define that, but it's because our planet is so different across different parts of areas that one area is going to be more developed and like have richer soil than a different area, so that the depth of the soil is going to be richer than other areas. And like even farm to farm, like there's going to be more, you know, what's considered usable soil is going to be richer and like deeper than other parts. So it's, you know, you can't really be scientific about it, can you? That's why you have to use a range. So it's not really scientific. So. And that's why you can't federally regulate it. I could just see like someone coming up with a scam like, yeah, we give them dirt. It's not good soil. We put some worms in it and call it topsoil. Or we put some beetles in it and call it topsoil. And it's a good scam. But it's not nitrogen rich. We're selling him the bad stuff. We're selling him the dry dust. They like all the farmers gather around and they're like, you stole us a bad bit of topsoil. I want my money back. You a liar. I sold you the best stuff. I want this to be a plot of plot of a novel. I could revive the book that I was working on called The Good Earth. Or The Bitter Earth. I could make it a subplot. This would be good.